Hi, my name is Tyler, and today I'm here to show you how to make some classic cocktails. This is my student, Trayvon, and he's my future bartender. Alright? So we're going to show you how to make a gin martini, a vodka martini, a dirty martini, and a perfect martini. Okay? So first, what you need is you either need gin or vodka, dry vermouth, or sweet vermouth, depending on the drink you want. So first, let's start with, we'll do a gin martini first. Okay? So this is the shaker. Take this one. This is your martini glass. So first, I'll take the gin and feed it in the shaker. Traditionally, you use about 4 ounces of gin or vodka. Okay. Next, traditionally, martinis are made with dry vermouth. So you just take a little bit, just rim the glass, and you swish it, and you just kind of move it around like so. And just kind of pour it back. You just pour it back in. As long as you're rimming the entire glass, that's the goal. Next, after you rim the glass and put the gin in, you'll have your ice. Traditionally, we would fill it with a lot of ice. And you shake it. Some people like their martinis stirred, but most of the time it's shaken. You pour it in the glass, and it's usually garnished with a cherry or a lemon peel. And that is a classic gin martini. Second, I'm going to show you a vodka martini. It's pretty much this, we'll do the same thing, all right? But I'll show you how to do a dirty martini, which has olive juice in it. Okay? Again, traditionally you use about 4 ounces. For this, we're going to use a little less. And you're going to put about a half ounce or 3/4 of an ounce of olive juice. If someone wants a filthy martini or an extra dirty martini, you would use even more olive juice. Sometimes double, sometimes it's just usually up to the person drinking it. Put the ice in. Shake it up. You garnish it with an olive. And that's how you make a dirty martini. Okay. Another classic martini people will ask you about is a perfect martini. So it's either, you can do dirty martinis and perfect martinis with gin or vodka. It doesn't really matter. The only difference between a perfect martini is you use equal parts sweet vermouth and dry vermouth, whereas traditionally you use just dry vermouth for martinis. Sweet. And dry. You do the same thing as the other times. Take the liquor. And ice. Shake it. And sip. And there you have a perfect vodka martini.
So, what is a martini and where did it originate from?
Okay, so our martini is a classic cocktail originating from the early 1900s. It's debated on where it originally came from. Some people say from San Francisco. Most people credit it to the bartender at the Knickerbocker Hotel in New York in the early 1900s. It originally consisted of gin and vermouth, and just gin, vermouth, and shaken with ice. Yeah, that's where it is.
So what is vermouth?
So vermouth is it's an aromatic fortified wine. It comes from Italy. It was perfected around the late 18th century, and it's got various botanicals in it, like they come from bark and roots, seeds, flowers. It's just a very aromatic wine liqueur that's used for martinis and Manhattans as well, which I'll be showing you later.
Between the two vermouths, what is the difference between the dry vermouth and the sweet vermouth?
So the sweet vermouth does come off a little bit sweeter. It's got a little more spice to it, and the dry vermouth is definitely it's more bitter, but it's not as spicy and kind of like full kind of feeling. That's why most people prefer it with the martinis, because it's vodka and gin is a very light alcohol, so it sits better with the dry.
What is gin?
So gin is a clear liquid. It's either made from it's flavored with juniper berries. It was perfected in the London area. Can't remember when exactly.
So what is vodka?
So vodka is also a clear liquor, and it originally comes from Russia, and it's either distilled from potatoes, rye, or other grains. It can be a combination of all three. And so, it kind of depends on where you live. If you go to Poland, pretty much all their vodkas are made from potatoes, because it's easy to find. If you buy stuff from Canada or stuff like that, it's not a huge vodka market, but theirs is usually made from rye, just because it's easy to grow. So it kind of depends on where you live. Do you have any other questions right now?
No, that's it.
No? Okay. So next I'm going to show you how to make a couple classic whiskey cocktails. All right. So first we'll start with a Manhattan. Okay. So here we have a bottle of bourbon. All right. Traditionally, the cocktail was made with rye whiskey, but it's a lot more popular now to use bourbon whiskey. Bourbon whiskey is a little sweeter usually, and rye whiskey tends to be a bit spicier. Right. So you're going to take 2 ounces of whiskey. So this side is a 1/4 ounce, and this side is 3/4 of an ounce. Take a couple dashes of aromatic bitters, usually about 2. And then you want to use 1 ounce of sweet vermouth. I'm just going to stir it around. Traditionally, you garnish it with a cherry. So since we don't have that, we're going to use an orange, a little bit of an orange peel. Take a knife, cut a little bit off. Bring it around the glass for taste. And you add ice. And that's a Manhattan. So second, I'm going to show you how to make a Brooklyn. It's pretty much the exact same thing as what we just made with a Manhattan. The only difference is that you would use dry vermouth instead of sweet. dashes of bitters. And then we're going to garnish it with an orange. And that's a Brooklyn. So Brooklyn and Manhattan, pretty similar. The only difference is you use dry vermouth in Brooklyn. Manhattan has sweet vermouth. You won't get many requests for a Brooklyn, mostly Manhattans. All right, and the last drink I'm going to show you is an old fashioned. Okay, so it also uses whiskey. All right, so you're going to take 2 ounces. We're not going to use all of it. But use some. You get whiskey. Usually you would use sugar cubes, but simple syrup works just as well. So right now we're going to use simple syrup. Just sweeten it up. 2 dashes of bitters. Ice cubes. And orange zest again. So do you have any questions about any of the whiskey drinks that we just made?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So where did the Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Old Fashioned originate from?
So, so the Manhattan and the Brooklyn, it's pretty straightforward. The names are named after where they came from. So the Manhattan is from Manhattan, New York. Both in the Brooklyn is from Brooklyn, New York. So those are the 2 of the 5 boroughs of New York City. It was around the 1850s, 1860s that those terms were coined. Again, do you have any questions about any of the whiskey drinks that we just made?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. So where did the Brooklyn, the Manhattan, and the Old Fashioned originate from?
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. The Brooklyn and the Manhattan, they're named after where the drinks were first made. So in Brooklyn, New York, they made the Brooklyn cocktail, and Manhattan comes from Manhattan, New York, 2 of the 5 boroughs in New York City. Terms were coined around the 1850s, 1860s. The Manhattan has stayed a very popular drink even through Prohibition, and since the Brooklyn really lost popularity until about the late 1990s. They had a little resurgence when the whole craft whiskey fad kind of came in.
All right, well, my last question is, you said traditionally you use rye whiskey instead of bourbon whiskey. So what's the difference between rye and bourbon?
Okay, so so there's a couple different variations of whiskey. All bourbon and all rye is whiskey, but it's not the other way around. So right here we have bourbon whiskey, and this is from Virginia. So to be considered bourbon, it has a couple rules. It has to be made in the United States. It has to be made from at least 51% corn, so it's distilled from at least 51% corn. And it'd be considered, there's a couple, so on a lot of bottles you'll see where it says straight bourbon whiskey. So to be considered straight bourbon whiskey, it has to be aged at least 2 years in new charred oak barrels, and there can't be any added coloring or flavorings or anything like that. So this right here is exactly how it comes out of the barrel. Rye whiskey is made from at least 51% rye, so the grain rye. Usually a lot of Canadian whiskeys are rye whiskeys. There are American whiskeys that can be made anywhere with rye. The only one that has the specifications where it has to be in the US is bourbon. Rye whiskey tends to be a little more expensive because rye is a harder crop to grow. Corn is very abundant, especially in the US. There's also Tennessee whiskey, which usually uses a lot less than the 50% corn. Usually they're around 30-40%, like Jack Daniels or George Dickel whiskey. For a long time, the bourbon was only from Bourbon County, Kentucky. After Prohibition, There hasn't been any distilleries in Bourbon County. That's why it just has to be made in the U.S. But a lot of bourbons do come from Kentucky. Any other questions?
No, that'll be it.
Okay. Well, I hope from this video you should now be able to make a couple classic cocktails. You should be able to make gin martini, vodka martini, dirty martini, perfect martini, and then whiskey drinks, old fashioned, Manhattan, and Brooklyn.